If Khamzat Chimaev was once seen as the boogeyman of the UFC, it now seems the tables have turned and he's become the prey. The anticipation for UFC 319 continues to soar. And if there were any doubts about the size of the challenge awaiting Chimaev, the words from middleweight rising star Ronnie de Ridder have cranked up the tension even further for the Wolf. According to him, Dricus du Plessis is the most unpredictable fighter in the game right now, and that could turn the fight into a living nightmare for the Chechen. Let's dive into what some of the top names in the middleweight division have been saying about Dricus du Plessis, making it clear that Khamzat Chimaev might not be ready for what's coming. With predictions of utter chaos that could shatter his unbeaten record against such a dangerous opponent, de Ridder, who's had the chance to experience du Plessis' style up close, was blunt in explaining why he considers Dricus an almost unsolvable puzzle, pointing out that this unpredictability is his greatest weapon, and that Chimaev is walking into a huge problem in his next fight, potentially risking his undefeated streak. If Khamzat wins decisively, he'll be a huge name, and that might come with him taking a lot of time off after, so it might be better if Dricus wins, and then we can fight in 4 to 6 months. So hopefully, it would be nice if Dricus wins and we can line it up. If there's one guy who's hard to study, it's Dricus. He doesn't do the same thing twice, so awkward, so unpredictable. I need more time to study him. He does a lot of weird stuff. I sparred him a couple years ago in Killcliff, and what really stands out in my mind is the way he kicks. His kicks come from such a weird angle, and it was very hard for me to judge where it was going to go, if it's going to be a middle, high, or low kick. So it's going to be very hard to find a guy to emulate him as well. There's nobody else who moves like that. I need more time to study him. De Ridder's words highlight a point that's probably keeping Chimaev's team up at night. There is no formula to prepare for du Plessis. His unorthodox style, filled with bizarre movements and attacks coming from unexpected angles, challenges even the most seasoned coaches. And it's precisely this unpredictability that has many analysts giving du Plessis a slight edge going into the bout. Chimaev, for all his brute force and dominance in short fights, has never faced someone with this type of arsenal. Inside the octagon, every second against du Plessis can be a trap, and any lapse in focus can come at a heavy price. For Chimaev, the challenge becomes even greater. This is the toughest fight of his career. Never before has he faced an opponent so unpredictable, capable of flipping a seemingly one fight into a loss with a single strike from an angle no one expects. De Ridder even mentioned that he would much rather prepare for a fight against Khamzat Chimaev than against du Plessis. Further underlining the South African's danger level, Khamzat would be an easier fight to prepare for. Not that he's an easier fight, but he's more of a typical style. I can bring a couple of Dagestanis and Chechens, who wrestle pretty similar to Khamzat. He boxes pretty cleanly, like a regular boxing style. It's not that spectacular in a sense that it's not as weird as Dricus is. There's more great wrestlers who also have good striking, but who mostly are great wrestlers. It's not as weird as Dricus is. He's just all over the place that it'll be very hard to find a guy who can emulate Dricus. So Khamzat, I think, will be easier to prepare for, but still, of course, another fight of my life. Both of them will be on the schedule before long. It would be harder to prepare for Dricus, but if Khamzat wins, he might be the bigger name. But in my mind, I'm fighting both owes these guys in the next 6 to 9 months anyway. For Khamzat, this means he's not just up against the middleweight champion, but also the psychological weight of knowing that no matter how hard he prepares, he's never faced anything like this in his career. Chimaev's fans still believe in his aggression and suffocating power, but the sense of uncertainty is growing with every analysis. The question hanging in the air is clear. Is the Chechen truly ready for something as unorthodox as Dricus du Plessis? Analysts are starting to say that if there's one man capable of breaking the Wolf's momentum, it's Dricus du Plessis. His unpredictability not only makes it difficult to craft a strategy, but also increases the margin for error. And in MMA, one mistake can be fatal. Another fighter who emphasized how dangerous and hard-toured Dricus is was Caio Borrelho, who laid out the game plan he'd follow in a hypothetical fight against the South African. With Dricus, I think people do a lot of mistakes with him because people don't control the distance and don't go for the lighter shots. People try to kill him all the time and put all their strength and power in the punches. Then people get tired. He gets tired too, but he can work when he is tired. I would go more with jabs, distance control, trying to hurt with kicks his arms a little bit more. I would circle a lot in the octagon, and then I will find the right time that he just opens up himself when he stretches to punch, and he walks forward, doing 2 or 3 punches. I would find this opening to do a counter punch or something like that and catch him when he is not waiting. That is what I see. I can see me knocking him out, but I can also see it going for 5 rounds of pure war. Baralho's words shine a light on one of Dricus' biggest weapons, his ability to keep fighting even when visibly exhausted. Something that's the exact opposite of Chimaev. This trait often confuses his opponents. While they lose effectiveness by wasting too much energy, Duplessis finds ways to keep pressing forward, turning the fight into a brutal test of mental and physical endurance. The fanbase, of course, is divided. Chimaev's supporters still believe in his earlier round onslaught and suffocating power. But the feeling of unease is only growing. At UFC 319, there will be no room for mistakes. Either Khamzat reinvents himself and proves he can handle the unpredictability of the South African champion, or Dricus Duplessis will once again prove that underestimating him is the deadliest mistake anyone can make. But what do you think? Do you also believe that Dricus Duplessis is the toughest fight of Khamzat Chimaev's entire career? Do you think the Chechen is heading for a chaotic and disastrous night, just like many people are saying? Drop your opinion in the comments, so we can chop it up. Reinier de Ridder was straight to the point when he said that, despite Khamzat Chimaev's undeniable talent, it's much easier to put together a game plan against the Chechen than against the South African. For him, while Chimaev follows a predictable pattern of explosive wrestling combined with clean boxing, Duplessis defies every mold. His attacks come from improbable angles, his movements are unique, and even his kicks baffle his opponents. As de Ridder made clear, there is no sparring partner who can accurately mimic Dricus, which means Khamzat will walk into the octagon without knowing exactly what he's up against. Adding up all these insights, it becomes evident why many consider this the toughest fight of Khamzat Chimaev's career. For the first time, the Chechen won't just face a skilled rival, but a living puzzle that's impossible to prepare for perfectly. If Khamzat tries to impose his relentless pace in the opening rounds and fails to finish, he might find himself stuck in a war of attrition that favors Duplessis. On Duplessis' side, the confidence is growing. He has already proven multiple times that he can overcome favorites, and his unpredictability has become his deadliest weapon. Fighters and analysts agree, underestimating Dricus is the most dangerous mistake anyone can make in MMA today. For Khamzat's fans, the blend of hope and anxiety is inevitable. On one hand, the hope that the Chechen will show improvements in his cardio and confirm the hype that surrounds him. On the other, the fear that, for the first time, he'll face something with no clear answer. In the end, the big question remains, will the Wolf survive the chaos that Duplessis brings into the octagon? Or will the South African champion silence the world once again, proving his unpredictability is the UFC's most lethal weapon? One thing is certain, when the octagon door closes at UFC 319, the world will be holding its breath. Because this isn't just another fight. It's the moment when myth and reality collide, and only one of them will come out alive.